Hello again. This is another high-level character that I had, my first one that I've made. I think I've already made a video with her. Not the one that I'm currently leveling through the story mode. And so I guess this might be misnamed. I'll have to fix the name later. Anyway, so this is not the campaign. I'll fix the name later. I think I misnamed it. Let's see. What am I going to do? I'm going to do something that is sort of scary for me on this character because, you know, if she dies, she's gone and I have to rebuild or basically continue with the other character. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give her another buff with life and take her through a tier 2 Infernal Hordes. So you can see how this works. Oh, the buff is gone. The XP buff is gone. Weird. Oh, it's going to make it harder to level that other character and this character. So you can see I'm getting a barrier. You can see the little blue tint around my health bubble. That's coming just from the Hydras. I'm using the Temerity Pants. And all I'm doing is just casting Hydras, that's it. And they're basically doing everything for me. They're healing me, they're giving me the bubble. I'm going to avoid casting anything but Hydra until I get to the bosses. The council, because I do want to protect myself a little bit against those three guys, at least initially. Really hate the spiders. You can see that I'm not quite sure how to interpret the way the bubble looks right now. Like, it starts out and I have a full bubble. Does that mean I have a bubble for all of my health, and now this second layer of bubble is more bubble on top of that? I don't know. Whatever it is, it's nice. Because I'm not taking any damage. Oh, yes, Hellborn. I'll talk about the build when I'm done. Or maybe in between waves I'll point out a few things. And yes, I'm playing with a controller inside of Infernal Hordes on Hardcore. Okay, now I'm safe. Well, let's figure out what we're going to do. Don't like that one. Don't like that one. That one to me is the least bad. Okay, so what's going on here? I'm casting Hydras. The Hydras are healing me via the burning, by the ticking dot, or yeah, the ticking dot on the enemies, right, is healing me through the warmth passive. So I've tried to buff this quite a bit. So every second, I'm getting 1,700 life plus for every nearby enemy. So, you know, if there's a group of enemies around me that lasts for more than 1 second, basically, because they get initially hit with a spike, but then they start ticking down. So if they live for more than a second or so, then they start each contributing a ton of life through this passive. Now, if it's a boss, so I don't think any of these guys counts as bosses unless I choose a certain setting on these things. But the last three guys, I believe, are considered bosses. The council. So when I get to the council, then it's 28% per boss per second. 28%. So 4 times of the 1763 life, which is, you know, that's 1735,000 times 3,500 times 2, so 7,000 health per boss per second So what's happening there? Why am I getting a barrier? Well, that's because of the temerity pants. So what's happening there is I'm getting a lot more healing because of the healing received buff there. I'm getting damage reduction while healthy, so that's nice. I'm not actually seeing much of that. I'm getting a passive lucky hit chance on chance to heal. Then the magic trick is anything that heals me beyond 100% life, which is what's happening right now because I'm pegged at 100% life just because they're already healing me. But now they're overhealing me, and that overhealing is being converted to a barrier. So I've got the barrier, and now I'm being healed up to 55% of that, 24,000 health is now a buffer. So now if I get a huge spike of damage, it might take away, let's say it takes away 20,000 health. Well, it's going to eat up that barrier first, which is, say 13, 14,000 health, and then that will knock me down from 25,000 with another 6,000 to 19,000. So I might go from 55% barrier down to maybe there. And then the next tick will get me back up, because this is assuming it's a boss, right? Because only bosses will do that much damage in a single hit. And really, only if you're way over your cap. So right now, I'm in a dungeon that's level 94 enemies, I think, because it scales in a tier 2 when you're beyond your level, which is, I think, 75 is what these are set to. So watch what happens when, I start hitting and the temerity pants give me a barrier. And I think what it is like, it says, now you have a barrier. This is how I think it works, now that I'm thinking about it. And then now you have a barrier and it's 55% of your health, right? Because it goes up to 55% because it's not super well rolled. So it'll stay there, and then in 8 seconds, if no more healing comes in, boom, it'll be gone. Now on top of that, of course, I have health everywhere. I have tons of Hydra damage. I've got a buff to Hydra here, so I'm at 8 stacks of Hydra, which is good. I have glass cannon, which I'm taking a risk on for the extra damage, because it does +3 to glass cannon does give me some damage back, or makes me less tanky, 12% more damage. But look at the increase in damage, 1.36 times the damage. It's hard to pass up. And of course I'm capped on my resists, and it doesn't look like I'm capped on armor, but I am running disobedience, and in testing I'm well beyond 85% once this kicks in after a couple seconds. And of course, the moment anything starts to die, this armor, I have a buffer where I can wait for this to fully kick in, where I'm getting that passive healing effect from the Hydras. So I take less damage from crowd controlled because I'm chilling enemies, right? Everything that gets hit gets chilled, so that makes this aspect work. This one's working. This one I'm unsure about whether it's worth it or not, or whether I should put something else there. It does kill lower health things almost immediately, so I erase entire screenfuls of things, which is nice. We've talked about this. This is just movement speed. I just have movement speed on the boots. Since I have a barrier almost all the time, 1.46 times damage is nice. Here, I'm casting conjuration skills all the time, continually, basically. So I have a huge damage reduction taken. Hydras, of course, an extra Hydra to make 3. And then I do, I'm doing at least 1 crowd control all the time, which is chilled. And then if frozen kicks in, like if they get chilled over and over, they will get frozen. And then they will take twice that, 34%. I'm not running any other effect other than chilled and frozen. Bosses and unstoppable enemies immediately take 34% extra, or 1.34 times increased damage over time. So when I finally burn down a boss at the end of a dungeon, boom, massive damage spike. Now this is all helped with Frozen Orb, because Vulnerable is also being applied. Now, I'm not really exploiting that yet, but it's yet another reason or another way that I'm freezing enemies. So I've got chilling enemies and I'm freezing enemies. Now, what I could do is I could put on like something like get a passive from this. What else could I put on? Picking some other lightning effect, like chain lightning. So I could, yeah, but that's not really a crowd control. I would need to find a way to crowd control. Something that does, because vulnerability isn't really a crowd control. I'll have to look into it. I don't think there's any great way. Sorks don't really have great crowd control other than freezing things. I could put like a lucky, like I could temper instead of lucky Hydra hit chance on some of these. Where is it? Some of these you could put on a second tempering of chance to stun, chance to slow, but chills a slow, so that's sort of redundant. But I could have some other lucky hit chance to do a stun, for example. That would be another one. Or I could put on Fists of Fate, a very well-rolled Fists of Fate, which has a chance to apply a crowd control, but it's not great. It's not a really high chance, so iffy. Let's try. Whoops. Let's try this. That was enough talking. You can see the barrier. Why is it so... It feels wiggly sometimes, like rubber bandy, and that makes me concerned sometimes. You can see it go up to 55%. And I'm just standing here and all this shit. Yeah, it's laggy. I hit the cast and then it lags for a second. A little bit concerning. Come on, servers, bump me up in priority for processing. If necessary, I can bail out by doing uptick and then down and hit A. It takes me just a second to do that. I did it once by accident, but not using that. I did it by clicking on in the inventory, and you basically are immediately removed from whatever you're doing, which is nice. But of course, this assumes that I don't have server lag. And I'm basically just spam casting Hydras. I have their cost to cast reduced down to 10 mana, and my mana regen is pretty much that or better, so I don't have to really worry about doing anything. I'm just holding down the B button and you just cast one after another after another. That way they're always refreshed. They're always sitting in an area that's going to have enemies. I don't wait for them to cast. The other thing which I've read about is that the moment you place down the Hydras, all of the heads, and I currently have 8 per cast, send out a huge fireball, you know, at the enemies, or enemies that are around them. I don't want that one. Ugh. See that wiggly? See that wiggly feeling? That's disconcerting. It should not bounce like that. could stay in the fire, but why risk it, right? If I can get out, and I have the presence of mind to get out of the fire, why not get out of the fire? So another thing that's making this work and not be as stressful as it normally would be in hardcore is that I'm basically fighting very easy things. I will not do that one. That is the worst one to pick for hardcore, I think. That would make the 3 enemies that get summoned at the end, the 3 bosses, hit 50% harder. See that? You can see the bubble go down a little bit, but not by much, because it's also every 1 second there's a tick for, you know, crap load of healing. The other thing that I almost never do is to use a health pot. Like if I ran into an issue and all of a sudden this barrier like dropped and was sinking lower, I could left click on the trigger to put a bubble on, or right click on the trigger to put a bubble on, or I could heal with a health pot. That would also put health back on me, which would then, if I like spam it, it'll overheal me. I'm not pleased by this weird rubber bandy lag. Right now might not be the best possible time to be doing this for some reason. Maybe because of the time of day. Maybe the servers are slammed. Maybe the internet's being weird in my area. Let's just try this without clicking anything. Got the bubble. I have my finger on the left trigger just in case. I'm not going to cast it. Okay, there we go. I never cast anything. I never popped a health potion. I never teleported that I can remember. I didn't pop a barrier of my own. Just the Hydras. And I know this is weird, but I'm going to take materials all the way because I really need the gems. I think I'm good on scattered prisms now, thanks to the goblin event. I was really struggling to get those for a while. See that rubber bandiness, that little bouncy? That should not be happening. Ugh, so annoying. And I'm getting like dropped frames here as well, so maybe I need to reboot the computer. It looks like I've dropped frames all over the place. This might be extremely unwatchable. Okay. All materials. Just curious. That's not enough to really make another gem, is it? Whoops, not what I wanted. That's not the jeweler. Yeah, okay. It was a lot, but not enough. One more run and I could make another ruby gem. I'm in the process of trying to replace this second purple gem. I can't make one yet. One more run should do it. And then I'd like to upgrade this gem to be like this one, a couple of more % resist, because as I near 100, who knows, I might have to replace something, and you know how that works. So this one, 1, 2, 3, 4 more of these guys. So if I were to crunch all 4 of these, I would get 4,000, so I could make 1 ruby. So that's not really going to work. 1 royal ruby, so that doesn't work. I need if I crunch 4 of those, I could make 1 more ruby, and so I would need 3 more after that, so I need 30,000 more ruby fragments, roughly. Well, 29,619, if you subtract the 6381. Okay, that's enough for now.